my 2010 E63 AMG, and it's been broken for a long time. I say broken, it's a little bit broken. We are driving it right now, and it still rips. If you guys have been on the channel, you're probably familiar with this car, but just in case you aren't, let's recap. I bought this car in August of 2022, got it home, and immediately started making it my own. Added some AMG lookalike 20-inch wheels, blacked out all of the trim, blacked out the grille, repaired and repainted the front bumper, tinted the windows to the full Chris Sullivan Ray Charles spec, and just like that we had a beautiful pre-facelift W212 E63. With the cosmetics out of the way, it was time to take care of some of the common issues that the M156 has, including the cam adjusters. So I dove in headfirst and did everything. I did the updated head bolts. I rebuilt the cam adjusters with 6.3 Motorsports adjuster plates. I did all brand new Black Series lifters. I took care of all of the common M156 failure points in one shot. And after that, the car drove beautifully. With the reliability taken care of, it's time for some mods. Seeing as this is my daily driver, I didn't go too crazy, but you know we had to do some long tube headers and a tune, which really woke this thing up and more importantly, made it sound absolutely insane. And that's pretty much where I stopped. This was a perfect daily driver for me. It was fast, loud, and obnoxious when you wanted it to be, but also cruised quiet and comfortably. It was the perfect daily driver. And that continued till January of 2024 when I was on my way to the airport. Car started misfiring, got so bad to the point that I had to pull over and leave it in a random neighborhood and Uber to the airport so I didn't have to miss my flight. I've had issues with long tube headers with O2 sensors before, so that was where I started, figuring it would be a quick, easy fix. Quickly came to realize that that was not our issue. Dove in a little further and found that we had misfires all over bank 1. So I started swapping injectors from bank to bank, coils from bank to bank, even spark plugs from bank to bank. Nothing seemed to be resolving the issue. I removed the intake manifold and took it completely apart, looking for the common cracking that you find on the M156. Didn't see anything, cleaned it up, put it back together, still no change. Telling myself that it was preventative maintenance, I did 8 brand new Bosch injectors and 8 brand new NGK Iridium spark plugs, no change. After a while of chasing my tail, I eventually got frustrated and ran out of time before a vacation and dropped the car off at the Mercedes dealership and said, "Here's everything I've done, call me when you figured it out." They called about a week later and said that it was the camshaft adjuster solenoid, which I doubted, but I said, okay, go ahead, do it. Of course, that didn't fix it, at which point I realized they were just guessing as well. So I went and picked the car up with them recommending new cam adjusters, but with no actual data to show that that was what was. Even the dealer couldn't figure it out. At that point, I kind of got frustrated with the car, let it sit for about 8 or 9 months in my driveway before I came back with a little bit of enthusiasm and once again dove in. And this was unfortunately more of the same, more chasing my tail, more looking at data on the laptop, not being able to make sense of it. I rebuilt the cam adjusters probably 2 times, checked the engine timing multiple times, everything was fine. I even had my original ECU checked by an ECU specific company and had them send me a completely different ECU, neither of which resolved my problem. Took the intake manifold apart again, and for peace of mind replaced the throttle plate, which commonly cracks. I replaced the solenoids, covers, and cam sensors on all of bank 1. Nothing was changing the issue. At that point I got frustrated. The car had been sitting in my driveway for about a year. I hadn't driven it at all, and I knew that if I unplugged the cam solenoid, the car drove perfect. So that was about a year ago, and I've been driving it ever since with the cam solenoid unplugged. And driving it, I have been. I've put almost 3,000 miles on this car this summer and fall with the cam solenoid unplugged, and it's been, you know, perfect. Other than the check engine light, it's been perfect. But I think it's finally time I dive in, do some proper diagnostic work, and get this thing figured out. So let's see what's wrong with this thing. Should I see if a burnout will fix this thing? The old Italian tune-up?
Can't hurt, right? All right, never mind. Maybe it's broken enough that it will not do a burnout. Perhaps we should fix that.
Because the problem with this car has eluded me for so long, and because I didn't really know where to go next as far as the diagnosis, I'd really been procrastinating on making this video and diving back into this car. But that all ends right now. We are jumping right back into this thing. I am more determined than ever to fix this AMG and bring this beautiful 6.2 liter hand-built V8 back to its prime. Considering it's been almost 2 years since I originally looked at this, I started with some of the basics. I got Zentry, the Mercedes-specific software, set up on my new garage laptop. Decided to pull all the spark plugs, take a look at those, make sure they look good. They all looked normal to me. Did a compression test. Found that both banks were right around 200 psi and within 5% of each other. Someone had commented a couple months ago about checking the fuel injector connectors for cracks in the wires, and I did find one. So I used some liquid electrical tape to repair that connector. The rest of them looked good. That did not solve my issue. Same misfire still occurs. While the spark plugs were out, I used one of my boroscopes to scope the cylinders and see what those looked like, even though the compression test was good. Just good to take a look around and see if there was anything that could be problematic. Nothing to note that I could see. After that, I opened up the laptop, dove back into HP tuners, started looking at cam position, and finally opened my newest tool, which is an oscilloscope. This one's made by Picoscope, and this should allow us to plot and view cam position data, crank position data, just any electrical signal data. We should be able to plot it using the Picoscope and its free software. I haven't used one of these since college, so it's going to be a learning curve. Not only how to use the scope, but also the software, and most importantly, how to interpret the data.
All this work, I'm getting hungry. I wonder what's for dinner. I forgot, it's my turn to do dinner tonight. My wife Maggie deserves a break once in a while, but I've got the perfect thing. HelloFresh is gonna make this super easy. We got everything we need right here to make a delicious meal with easy to follow instructions. So easy, even someone like me should be able to handle it. Let's find out. Yeah, baby.
You're doing great.
I'm learning.
You're doing great.
Everybody.
I couldn't believe how many meal options HelloFresh had to offer. Me personally, I love steak, and usually a premium protein selection like that would cost extra money, but not with HelloFresh. Now you can add premium steak and seafood at no additional cost. We're talking meals that feel like date night, but right here at home.
Come on. Does it get much better than that? All right, let's see how we did. The sauce is good. Take advantage of the new HelloFresh by going to HelloFresh.com using my code ChrisSullivanHF. That's gonna get you 10 free meals and free breakfast for life. See, this is why it took me so long to make another video on this car, because I was kind of procrastinating, putting it off. That's because I really don't know where to go next. We are in uncharted waters. The diagnosis on this car has beat me up until, well, still, right now. But I've spent the entire evening just getting set up, basically, rechecking things, getting Star and Zentry set up, getting HP tuners working, and getting my new scope set up. This is a Picoscope, basically a cheap but effective oscilloscope. I haven't used one of these since I've been in college, but got the intake cam on bank 1. Looks like I was able to get a good connection. And after a little bit of fiddling with the software, which I'd never used before, playing with the scaling and the scope and all that, I was able to get
But it looks like a pretty good cam signal. We can see it does 2 little blips and 2 big blips and then repeats, which lines up with exactly what we see on one of these guys. 2 little blips and then 2 big blips. So I think the next step is to see if we can get a crank signal reading, and then we can start comparing bank to bank. I'm going to assume that bank 2 is good right now, even though I'm getting some misfires on this bank. But most of the misfires are on bank 1. Now I'm just going to see if we can find some sort of abnormality here. But it's tired. Jesus. Exhaust fumes are getting to me, boys. I'm tired. It's late. I'm going to pick this up tomorrow. I'll catch you guys then. Alright, so to recap, here's what this thing has been doing. For almost 2 years now. Exact same thing. Sitting in the garage, in park or neutral, rev it up to 1500-ish RPMs. We'll start seeing misfires climbing, mostly on bank 1, but lately I've been kind of seeing them everywhere. Who knows if it's limited to that bank or if it's just showing up on the other bank. Who knows? But here's what it does. And it goes into limp mode, shuts down the cylinders. Sounds like the motor's gonna fall apart. Shut it down. Start it back up. Runs perfect again. Heyo, and here is all of our current engine codes. Cylinders 1 through 3 misfire, random misfire. This one I've seen before, but is kind of new-ish. Camshaft position sensor B, circuit high. So bank 2. I don't know if that's intake or exhaust, but what is that? Like a short to positive. Some O2 sensor codes, which I don't really believe because I don't know. I just replaced those, and this thing, I've replaced the sensors like 3 times in this whole saga, and it has not changed how this thing is run. So, plus it seems like it's just a heater thing. So, I don't know. All right, so we are making some progress with the oscilloscope. I am tapped into the crank position sensor down here on the ECU, which on these cars is right here in the passenger fender. The reason I did it there is because the crank position sensor, which I've already replaced with an OEM Bosch part in this whole debacle, is buried down there and it is an absolute bear to get to, so I figured that was easier. And right now we are on for channel B, we are on the intake cam of bank 1. And again, it is now late on night number 2. It's taken me all of this time just to get all my software and everything figured out. And I've probably filmed 30 seconds in the past 2 nights. It's just, this is why I've been putting this project off. But anyways, I'm gonna trudge forward. I'm gonna sit here and stare at this laptop without filming until I figure something out. So now we have a good crank sensor, crank signal I should say, and a good cam signal as well. So if we stop this for a second, we can zoom in. Again, forgive me as I learn this software, but you can see, I believe these are the teeth on the flywheel because the crank position sensor kind of points, basically perpendicular to the flywheel. So this is one tooth on the big cam gear there, a cam reluctor wheel, and then each of these is flywheel, and then there's obviously some sort of gap to let the computer know where it is. So like I said, I think at this point it's going to be me kind of staring at a laptop. Not a ton to film, but I will let you know when I find something, if I find something. I think I'm going to save this reading probably at, at idle and 1500 RPMs, and then we'll do this cam. This is what we suspect is a problem area over here, bank 1, and we'll compare it to what might be good over here on bank 2. Same thing, intake cam and exhaust cam. I've got the wiring diagram for this car pulled up and handy just in case it gets too problematic getting into those sensors down there. We might be able to scope it right from the ECU like we did the crank position. I don't know. See what we find.
Well, after a few hours of gathering data and messing with the software and figuring out how it works, I was able to gather a cam crank signal for all 4 camshafts, so intake and exhaust bank 1 and intake and exhaust bank 2. So here we can see zoomed out a sample of the cam crank signal. Crankshaft signal is in blue, camshaft signal is in red. You can see I'm zooming in on the area where I had revved the engine to 1500 RPMs. If we zoom in a little bit further and I add what's called these phase rulers, we can see exactly what the engine is doing in 720 degrees. And we want to do 720 degrees because the camshafts rotate a half of a turn for every 360 degrees that the crankshaft rotates. So we'll stretch these out to 720 degrees, or 2 complete crankshaft rotations, pull that right to the edge of 720 degrees, and this is where we can compare where the cams are at the start of the crankshaft, or the first rotation right here on the left. And just to make it a little bit easier for myself and you guys to digest, I ended up dumping this all in a document so that we can compare everything together. And basically what we're looking for is to see that the cams are doing the same thing on both sides. So here we can see exhaust cam bank 2, our blue phase ruler at the start of the crankshaft falls kind of on the first third of the camshaft. And even though the scaling is not exactly the same for bank 1, we can see the same thing. And then same thing at 720 degrees. So it appears that bank 1 and bank 2 exhaust cams are doing exactly the same thing at 1500 RPMs. And long story short, same thing for intake cam. You compare these 2 signals. It seems that all of these signals match. It doesn't seem like the cams or crank are doing anything weird, which is kind of a bummer because I was hoping to find something going on here. So from there, I started to dig into some other possibilities. I started to take a really close look at the engine bay wiring harness, checking all of the injector connections. On a hunch, I unplugged the knock sensors and completely removed them from the engine block to make sure we weren't getting any false knock. Engine still misfired exactly the same as before, so I think it's safe to rule out knock sensors. Used the Mercedes wiring diagram to continue checking connections, and even got a brand new tool from Vevor, a power probe and automotive short circuit tester. Not only is this going to be useful for this project in finding shorts, but I'm sure it's going to be useful for any sort of automotive electrical related project on the channel. I'm still learning how to use this tool, but it's definitely going to be helpful in chasing down short circuits and other electrical issues in the future, but still no smoking gun on this car as far as an electrical problem. So then I came back to checking camshaft position, just using my regular OBD2 scanner, and I did find some interesting data. The intake cam on bank 1 appeared to be a lot more unstable when compared to the bank 2 intake cam. Does that mean anything? I'm not sure. Let's investigate.
So here's what I'm seeing, guys. This is just my regular OBD2 scanner. I'm plotting cam position. Specifically right now, the purple and yellow lines are position of the intake cams for the left and right bank. And you'll notice what this scanner is calling the right bank is a lot more stable, the yellow line, than the left bank, which is the purple line. It's all over the place. Look, it's spiking up to like almost 30 and then down to, almost 26, whereas the yellow one is pretty damn consistent, right around 28. And this is at idle. So if we rev this up a little bit, let's see what it does. Oh wow, yeah, she's wildly out of control, it seems, and then it goes into limp mode. So something is going on there. Start it back up. Look at that. Down to like 23 degrees. So something is up with what this scanner is calling intake cam on the left bank. Here's where the problem is. I love this Bluetooth scanner. The scanner is saying purple line is intake camshaft of left cylinder bank, which I think it's if you're in the car, so it would be this bank, which is bank 2 in the Mercedes. All of my misfires are over here on bank 1, and I don't see a problem with either the intake. Here's the exhaust cams for both banks. Very stable. Even if we rev it up to 1500 where it misfires. Very stable until it starts misfiring and limp mode. Let's see if we can confirm this. This is the intake cam position sensor right there. Let's unplug it, see what happens. See if we lose the signal. That's unplugged. Yeah, we just lost it. So the left cylinder bank, according to this scanner, is definitely this one right here. So this is where we're getting the erratic, or seemingly erratic, cam position signals. So why am I getting misfires over here? Well, here's where I'm at, guys. Something is going on with this intake cam. I don't know what it is yet. I've had these adjusters apart. I originally rebuilt them with the 63 Motorsports adjuster plates that stopped the rattle at startup when I first bought the car. And then throughout this whole diagnosis series on this car, I also took the adjusters apart and added their super slick looking skeleton plates on the front. But at this point, I think it's very clear that there's something going on with the variable valve timing here. I have not found any breaks in the wiring harness or anything else. So as much as I don't want to do it, after basically weeks of diagnosis now without any smoking gun, I'd love to tear into this engine again, get our eyes on it and see if we can visually see something wrong. Also, I've got some parts over here, which we can talk about in a second. I hate to throw the parts cannon at this thing any more than I already have, but this is a potential wear item that I have. Should be an easy enough install, and it's good preventative maintenance on this car. So it's cold out. I'd love to shut the doors and windows and turn the heater on and get to work. So I think I'm going to start by taking the valve covers off, seeing if we see anything obvious, even though we've done this before, and see if we can figure out what's going on with this cam position sensor or cam position over on this bank. Who knows? Maybe it's a problem on this bank and the computer is just reading it as a misfire over here. I don't know. Anything's possible now, so let's start turning some wrenches. Alright, good morning. It is the next day. I got the top end of the M156 basically most of the way torn down. Let me bring you up to speed on what my plan is. Nothing new here as far as this broken E63 is concerned, or the series is concerned. Camshafts look absolutely perfect. As we already talked about in this video, I've done all the common M156 fixes. I've done the updated head bolts. I've done the Black Series lifters. Cams look great with no, wear or anything on the lobes, which is another common issue on these, especially on the intake cams. So we're all good there. Excuse the heater. It is cold out today. So here is the Bank 1 adjusters out on the table. We've got the 6.3 Motorsports ARP hardware, their skeleton covers, their titanium hardware up here, and then on the back, well, actually it's not going to be visible. It's actually this where my thumb is, their back plate, which is preventing that cam adjuster rattle, which is common on the M156. So we've already covered all of this in past videos. What's new here is these reluctor wheel sealing rings. So on each one of these cam reluctor wheels, there's these 3 sealing rings. If you see the orifices in there, those are basically oil pressure coming from the cam adjuster solenoids telling the cam to, advance or retard timing based on what the ECM is seeing. So obviously if these were not sealing well, the ECU cannot correctly control timing, and therefore you may get misfire or timing codes. What a lot of guys will see is these will come out of their grooves or they will break altogether, which obviously would lead to misfires and timing issues. I don't have that issue. Unfortunately, we still do not have a smoking gun. All of my rings appear to be in good condition, but a couple people had reached out to me saying that that was their issue, causing a similar or the same issue as my E63, and this was the fix. So this is a company, Menaker, I think it is. They're based out of Poland, I believe, and they make these aftermarket M156 sealing rings. This is an extra one I had. You can see the factory ones are steel or some sort of alloy metal. These are plastic. They're supposed to have better sealing capabilities and be less aggressive on the outer case here. Right here, where you can see where those 3 rings seal and get pressure directly from the solenoid. So unfortunately, based on what I'm seeing here, I don't have any evidence to suggest that these plastic rings are gonna correct our issue. But I ordered them. They were about 200 something US. You need, what, 3 times 4? So you need 12 of them. So it was $250 for all 12, so that's for the entire motor basically. I don't know, just good preventative maintenance. We're kind of tackling the parts cannon aspect of this thing and then also doing some preventative maintenance. So I'm going to toss these in, but we're going to take it a step further and do something that I haven't done in this project yet. No matter what I've done in this whole series, I've never been able to get the misfires to move from this bank. No matter what I do, they just stay here. What I have not done yet is swapped the cam adjusters from bank 2 to bank 1 and vice versa. So that's what I'm going to do. A lot of this stuff is one-time use, like from the factory these bolts would be, but because I got the ARP stuff, I think that I can just swap these on and that'll be good. The diamond washers that go between the cam adjuster and the cam itself, I believe are supposed to be one-time use, but I think for science purposes here, and as long as the surfaces is clean and as long as the diamond washer is physically there, I think we're going to be just fine. So you can see I've labeled them. That's bank 1 exhaust. Somewhere over here, bank 1 intake. I've got my timing tool set up here, and I made this because the timing tools only come with one little bracket, so you're supposed to really only do one side at a time, but I'm going to take all 4 adjusters off, do my timing completely from scratch. This will slide into the slot on the cams back there. Another thing I noticed, which I don't know if it's going to be related to our issue or not, because is that right there. That white dash is a mark that I made when I originally did the timing on this thing when I rebuilt the cam adjusters. And you can see the mark on the water pump, I believe it is where that is supposed to be lined up when your cam tool will drop in here. And that is not the case. So this is dropped in here and we're probably 5 or more degrees before, 40 degrees before top dead center. So basically, timing over here was slightly off. But again, I've taken this apart a few times now, so I would have had to get the timing wrong 2 or 3 times in a row and still have the exact same issue if that was related to our issue. But either way, I'm going to start all my timing from scratch, swap the adjusters, put those blue plastic sealing rings on, put it all back together, and see if we changed anything. Even if the misfires move over to another bank, I'll be ecstatic. Just something has changed that can give us some direction here. So let's get to work. All right, we are all back together and timed up. That took a lot longer than I anticipated it would because my timing tool didn't exactly work as I wanted it to. The thickness of this one is machined to the perfect thickness to fit into the slot in the back of the camshaft. Mine was just a little bit thinner, which meant there was some slop in the cams there, which meant the front cam tool didn't fit properly, which, long story short, meant that I needed to basically remove the cam tools from this side and let this cam kind of rest, and then move everything over here, get this all done, then move everything back over here, fighting with gripping the cams with, vice grips and stuff, obviously in these areas where it doesn't matter. But we are all timed up. Crank is at 40 degrees perfectly. All the timing tools fit perfectly, both on bank 1 and bank 2. More importantly, we have put the bank 2 adjusters on bank 1 and the bank 1 adjusters on bank 2. And we've got our new camshaft sealing rings on all 4 tone rings, or, cam position wheels there, reluctor wheels, hall sensor wheels, whatever you want to call them. We're there. So let's button all this back up, fire this thing up, and see if we change anything. I have said that so many times, and I'm still not feeling confident that we change anything, but we must push on. All right, the M156 is mostly back together, just missing, the airbox and trim and stuff, which hasn't been on in a long time. Also, it's the next day, and seems I'm fighting some sort of illness, so excuse the nasally voice. Also, got a killer egg after I just got a socket and wrench whipped at me via the tensioner on this thing, which is a real pain to get to. So that feels really good right now. But anyways, we got everything back together. I think we're good to crank this thing over, and we'll see how it sounds. See if we changed anything at all. Best case scenario, we fixed something. The blue seals fixed something, maybe an oil pressure control issue over here, and we have no misfires. Middle case scenario, we moved the misfires over here, which at least gives us some indication that maybe there was a problem with one of the adjusters. Worst case scenario, we didn't change anything. If I had to put money on it right now, I'd say we didn't change anything, just based on the track record that this project has, but only one way to find out. Alright, so far so good. Appears to be running very smooth. Again, nothing new. No leaks. The headers are probably going to smoke like crazy because by nature of this project, when you take the valve covers off, yeah, here we go. It leaks a bunch of oil on them. So let's let this thing warm up a little bit. Check and clear any codes. Probably do a cam position relearn in Zentry. And then we'll do the usual, bring it up to 1500 RPMs and see if it misfires or where it misfires. Speed too low, let's try it again. keep letting it drop below. I gotta keep it between 2,700 and 3,500. Maybe I should put the camera down and just get it done. All right, got the camshafts taut in. The process was completed successfully. We are up to temperature. The engine is running beautifully. Let's bring this thing to 1,500 RPMs and see if we change anything. Come on, give us something here. Nope, nope, nope. I cannot believe this. This is actually unbelievable. What is up with Bank One? We have changed everything at this point. What the f? I don't know anymore. It's like a month of work right now. Oh, you know. Another month has passed since I started filming this video, and I'm no closer to solving this problem. I make it make sense. The car runs so well, except at that RPM. Oh, 2 years. Almost 2 years. January of 2024, this thing started doing this, and I have not been able to change anything. I don't know what else to do at this point. I don't know. I don't know how many times I've said this in this video, but this is why I was putting this project off. It's just, I hate to call it a waste of time, but it's just like you spend hours and hours and hours working on this thing and effectively get nowhere. It's doing the exact same thing, and I feel like I'm no closer to solving it. It's probably time to walk away for a little bit right now before I, drive this thing into the Atlantic Ocean. Anyways, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to all you guys out there, and we'll come back to this after I've had a few spiked eggnogs or something. Puzzle continues. A little more warmed up now. Almost immediate. Well, it's the day after Christmas. Unfortunately, Santa did not bring me a fixed M156 in my 2010 E63 AMG. And no, slugging 14 spiked eggnogs didn't give me the inspiration I needed to fix it either. So she's still broken. You know, when I started this video, I was really hoping this was going to be the one. We were going to find something, and that's the reason I didn't post anything on this thing for almost a full year now, is I didn't want to do another long video on making no progress. But making no progress, I feel like, is a harsh criticism of my own work here. I think that we learned some things. We learned how to use a picoscope. We got some cam crank data, which seems to be okay. We eliminated a few things like the cam adjusters themselves. We installed some new parts, and we double checked a lot of stuff. So even though we're nowhere near where I want it to be, I'm not going to say it was a waste of time. That's just part of this game sometimes. It's just crazy that the car, misfires and puts itself into limp mode when it will just sit here and idle. You could balance a nickel on the intake manifold right now. It is that smooth, but just something at 1500 RPMs it doesn't like. I don't know if that's when the camshafts start actuating or there's a whole bunch of variables going on there, but with the test I was just doing, something that I learned in one of the previous videos is it seems like it's more sensitive when the motor is hot, but it's pretty quick, like within a minute of it warming up. But when you first start it cold, we can hold the RPMs at over 1500 RPMs, and it takes a little bit for it to start to misfire, like almost like it's when the oil is still cold, maybe. Or, who knows, maybe I'm going down the wrong path here. Maybe it's something to do with the O2 sensors are still warming up. I don't know. But once it's fully warm like it is right now, as I just showed, as soon as you hit like 1300 or 1400 RPMs, boom, the whole first bank starts misfiring like crazy, shuts down, limp mode. You guys know the deal. So where to next? I don't exactly know. I have some ideas. Right now I'm wondering if I can drill some holes in my cam solenoid cover and see if we can find a difference from each cam in oil pressure to see if this truly is an oil pressure control issue or if that's incorrect as well. And one of the reasons that I just can't seem to shake that this might be related is back when I was doing all of the head bolts and preventative maintenance on this car, I made a mistake when I was torquing the cams back down, and I put on the bridge cap when I shouldn't have yet, and I ended up breaking it. And that is machined with the head at AMG, and the correct way to fix that would have been to purchase a new or good used cylinder head and completely replace it. But obviously that was a ton of work and I didn't want to do that, so I kind of took a gamble and just got a used set of cam caps off of eBay and just replaced that bridge cam cap assembly, the two matching pieces. And the car ran perfect for 10,000 miles. So I don't know if that is related at all, because why would it be good for 10,000 miles and then all of a sudden when I'm driving down the highway start to misfire? I don't know, but it is on the same bank. That was on bank 1. So is there a clearance issue between that camshaft and that cam cap or that cam bridge that is now causing lower oil pressure to those cam adjusters, which is not allowing them to adjust timing properly? But obviously I don't want to go down that road if it's wrong, because that involves removing the cylinder head and a ton of work and some money and parts, and if that's not what's causing our issue, the last thing I want to do is dive into this motor that deep if I don't need to. But anyways, that is going to do it for this video, guys. I'm not giving up yet. Like I said, I got some ideas, might need to order some parts here, but the saga continues. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out the website. We got beanies on there now, sweatshirts, long sleeves are in stock, sweatshirts. I got more stuff coming. Support the channel, help me figure this out. Be sure to leave your comments and thoughts down below. If you have any ideas where I should be headed or saw anything, let me know. Help your boy out. Hope everyone had an awesome Christmas. I'll catch you in the next one.